this week, today is Friday, the kids had sausage sandwiches for breakfast. It's jacket potatoes and salad for tea. In the supermarket today, I was looking at pizzas. We were going to have pizza and chips for tea tomorrow, but the cost of the pizza left me a little bit stumped because of the recession. Everything is going up and the sizes of the items are going down. We stood there looking at some croissants, wondering where half the croissant had gone, and yet the price of the bag had increased for the same amount of croissants, but actually the weight was lower and the price had gone up. So I'm a little bit befuddled as to why the sizes have gone down even though the price has gone up. But I had a little look in fresh and thought, no, I'm not paying that for pizzas. Looked in the frozen and thought, well, that's almost now as much as the fresh. So we are going to make our pizzas instead, which is something that we do. But I was trying to not cook on that Saturday. So it's something that the kids can get involved with anyway, so it's not too much of a big deal. We're going to have a roast chicken on Sunday with a vegetarian option for the 3 people who don't eat meat in-house. And we're also going to do the same thing with the sausage dinner on Monday. It's going to be tuna pasta bake for the meaties on Tuesday, bean pasta bake for the veggies, and then veggie casserole and lentil hot pot to finish the week off. This area here I will add to this depending on what I bake, and the kids can see what there is to kind of have a little treat or a snack on. It's not just all sweet treats, you know, I'll put fruit and things in there as well. And then as the week goes on, I'll make my shopping list up on the bottom. I've done this per aisle in the supermarket, and it works fine until the store has a change around. But for the most part, this is, I can walk in the store and I know that's the first aisle, that's the second aisle, and so on. And it just makes everything so much quicker and easier in the store. This is the long and short of it. We've got everything in there. Veg and salad in the bottom. First freezer's full. The second freezer has got venison and chicken in it. I have a little cupboard down here that everybody says is Mum's cupboard. I call it my cupboard. And the reason why I give it this name is because it's got things in that I just don't want anybody just to help themselves to. So it's got, there's the pack up bars that the children who take a pack up can go. I've also got, it's very messy in there. This is nuts, dried fruit, and pastries and bread that I'm going to use for my meals throughout the week. But if I put them anywhere else, somebody will open a packet and eat something, and then I've only got half a recipe, like I can only feed half the people with a bread roll or whatever. Obviously I can make my own bread rolls, but sometimes, you know, mummy's just not got time. So there's things like that in there, par-baked bread and things like that. Down the bottom, there's more dried fruit, there's popcorn kernels, and then all my Tupperware. And as I say, the kids know that that's Mum's cupboard, so they think that's mine, but it's not. It's what I basically just need them not to open, otherwise we can't have a full meal. And then on the side here, as it's Friday, the children have each got a little treaty pot, and even my older children, who are probably far past it, have one, because I rue the day that I don't make them a sweetie pot and then they'll say to me, hold on a minute, where's my sweeties? So this is just a little pot with about 6 to 8 sweets in as a treat. I'm not going to pretend that they're the only treats and chocolates that my children have all week. They certainly don't. This basically was an idea that I started a while back, and it was a point system. So this was when I was having a little bit of challenging behaviour and I wanted to encourage and reward more positive behaviour. And so I would give a sweetie for positive reward up to a certain amount of sweets. I think it was something like 6 sweets by the end of the week, so you could earn 6 points. And then if you also earned your 6 points, not only would you get your pot, but you would also get to choose a special treat, like some extra special time with mum and dad on top of what you might normally have, or it might be a trip round to the co-op because you're going to get a special ice cream, or what else, a brownie in a mug or something like that for getting your 6 points. Sometimes the children would opt for like a little bit of pocket money, because I don't give pocket money, and that's a whole nother conversation. So they didn't trade their sweets, so the sweets that they earned were theirs to eat, and then if they got the 6, then they would be able to have an additional prize for that well-deserved behaviour, well-earned behaviour. And so that is what we did. But Mummy is always evolving, and I'm always reflecting. So sometimes I get a little bit of criticism for this from people who don't necessarily feel comfortable with other people trying to do better. So to explain, one of my mottos, if you like, is do your best until you know better, and then do better. And I try to live my life by that for the most part. I don't always succeed in that. I don't walk round with these little mottos in my head, living my life strictly by these things, but I do reflect an awful lot on my parenting and my children, and encounters that we have with each other throughout the day and the weeks and the years and the months and the years. And I'm always reflecting, and I've reached a point in my parenting life where I feel like I'm hitting the grandparent stage where I want to treat them because I love them, not because they have to earn it from me. And it doesn't have to be sweeties. It might just be a kind word, or a hug, or a head round the bedroom door, are you all right? Anything. So quite a while ago I did away with the point pots because they served their purpose, and we finished with it. We did it for a long time, and it just outgrew itself. But I thought the other day, I'm going to bring them back. It was the other week actually, because I've just refilled them for the second Friday. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to bring them back because I don't often get to treat all of my children to sweets, for example, or a chocolate at the same time. I don't, we don't go round to the shop on a Friday and get fish and chips and a bag of sweets or something like that. It's not something that we do. And grandparents in the past have always been the ones with their bags open ready to treat with sweets, and so me and Mr. Lemon have often felt quite redundant in that area, and almost that we shouldn't treat because they've already been treated, and then we don't want to over treat, and the treats that they're being treated with are the sweetie kind of treats, and so it's not always as healthy as it might be. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not going to pretend to you that these are the only treats that my children get all week, that my 15-year-old gets 6 little sweeties in a pot, because that is obviously not true by any stretch of the imagination. So yes, there are treats that involve food, but these specifically were for reward, and I feel I've grown past that now. I don't need that. I don't need that tool in my box anymore. I think that it served us well for a time, but on reflection, if I had my time again, I'm not sure that I would use that kind of reward system for my children, and I would do what I'm attempting to do now, which is to show my children that I am thinking about them all week long, and when I place those chocolates in the pots, I am thinking of each of them as I put them in the pot, and that it's just a small gesture from Mum to say, it's Friday, love ya. And there it is. There is no more to it. You know, it's not, oh, you don't get your sweets this week because you didn't behave, or you didn't eat enough dinner, so you don't get your I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I feel it has no place in my house and my heart anymore. And I've evolved. And while I've still got all of my children at home, which may not be for very much longer, as we've got older teens now, you know, I want them to experience that and not be looking at their younger siblings when they come round to visit one day and seeing things that they never had, that we didn't allow back then when they were little, and to feel somehow different. Life is it is what it is. You know, I'm not the same parent that I was now. I'm not the same parent now that I was when I had my first child 17 years ago. And often the kids will, we kind of, it's light-hearted, they'll joke, they'll go, oh, you wouldn't let me, you know, we'd have had the naughty step and things like that. And I'm like, do you know, it is what it is. It's one of those kind of suck it up moments. It is what it is. I can apologise for mistakes that I've made in the past, and I can be truly sorry for some things, but I did my best until I knew better, and now I'm trying to do better. So there we are. Which is your favourite plant of all of them? Well, feeling a little bit more human now. Got my cup of tea, got my makeup on. I haven't put makeup on very often recently. I've been a little bit just doing what I need to do, what I can get done at the moment. My father is ill in hospital, and that's adding a new dimension to my day. The hospital's quite a way away from me, so it's another element to my day that I'm having to fit in, and with the obvious concerns for my dad, and the general kind of day-to-day of everything else starting up, the ball's rolling again now, the older children are back at school and so on. I can hear somebody coming. There's always somebody coming. The biggest boy and the littlest girl. And the dog's barking. Anyway, yes, with the obvious concerns of having a poorly relative, and the schools are back, so my older children are now in the swing of that, and there's the school run to contend with again, twice a day, and all the other bits and bobs. I haven't had much time for doing my makeup, so I'm sure at some point I will get back into a rhythm of making time to do certain things for myself throughout the day, but makeup has come last at the moment. So you're very privileged. I've put a little bit of makeup on for you, a little bit of gloss. Right, so what I wanted to do, I feel like this video has been a little bit rushed, but I haven't done one for a while, and I didn't want to kind of drop off the radar for too long and kind of leave you wondering what was going on, because from my last video, which was a curriculum update in preparation for and anticipation for the new school term, my Insta stories have not reflected what our plans were. So in very, very short, Danny, do stop it, please. Danny, stop it. You'll have to go out the room. So in short, what has happened is that I have decided, along with chatting to the girls, that we want to move forward with... We're not going to get very far with this. They get on so well together. It's so lovely to hear. So we've decided that we want to try and fully embrace unschooling in all its glory. We've had an unschool summer, which we always do over the holidays. We school year round, always have done. We don't feel that there's a need to say that we're on a break just because the schools are closed and all the children are at home. You know, we're never not learning, and I went over all of that in my previous video. But since beginning 5 years ago, we've always looked at and admired the unschooling philosophy and ways, but never really made the leap. And we kind of did our own little version of it with my leaping down rabbit holes and following great stories into new and wonderful adventures of learning. And I did my little video, my curriculum update, and I've got a whole folder full of organised homeschool binder, mum's homeschool binder, with all the ideas and everything that I was going to do with the girls. All my book box was sorted with all my read alouds, and I lay in bed after I'd done the video, and I was so pleased that I'd got everything sorted. And then I just thought, I don't know why we keep doing this every year, because we start off so well and then I'll meet resistance. The girls will, we'll start a new term and we'll get to like a couple of weeks in and the girls have been really motivated, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, no, we don't want to do this, we want to do this instead, or and then we always end up veering off of what I've done anyway, and the girls are happier when we kind of just go with the flow. And so I said, right, well, how do you feel about actually going for it then? Let's take the leap. Let's give it a go. We'll go all in. If it doesn't work for us, if we don't feel it's working, it's right, it doesn't sit and fit with us, then we will go back to what we were doing before. But let's give it a go then, if that's what you want, girls, which they did. They'd expressed that they did. And so that's what we've been doing the past 3 or 4 weeks. Is it 3 or 4 weeks? 3 weeks. That's what we've been doing, and we've been having an absolute blast. So what of all the plans that I had? Well, as an unschooling parent now, I see no reason why I can't still suggest or strew some of these activities and books that we were possibly going to learn from before. And so that's exactly what I'll do. The difference is that I won't make the children look at those things if they are really not up for that. And so now my job is to continue to facilitate their learning in any which way they decide to take that, without forcing a point or forcing a subject or forcing a lesson when they're really not wanting it. So yeah, I'll still read books that I really want to read to them if they want to listen to them, and if they're not interested, well, maybe I'll just read them for myself. I will still suggest topics, if you like, projects that they could get into, but if they're not into that and they want to learn something else or they want to delve into something different, then we'll follow that. So I don't believe that any of the plans that I initially had with our old way of doing things will go to waste. They will certainly be looked at and over, but it's up to the girls whether or not they delve in. And we've been having so much fun. I am absolutely exhausted. And I think I probably said that every year anyway, but for some reason,
it seems as if now the game has shifted up a level. Yeah, we've definitely moved the bar. I don't think I have a newfound respect for parents that have unschooled for many, many years, because there is a lot of stigma with not only the philosophy but also the parenting style that lends itself well to, in that it can be viewed as being a lazy way, or too free, too no rules, no this, no boundaries, how will the children turn out? Actually, I have a newfound respect. I have not hardly had a chance to sit still. The girls have fully embraced the opportunity to be unschooled. They've showed me that this is definitely something that they want to do and that they can get on with. And so I have been busy following their lead, making sure that the resources that they may want to get into are available to them. And they have taken up a lot of what I've strewed out, but they've also, for as much as they've taken up, there's a lot that they have left by the wayside that I have considered perhaps something really relevant and important, but actually they're not interested in that part of it at all. One of the things that we were doing, which I've learnt this week actually, was Ashley, my eldest homeschooled daughter, was interested and asking a lot of questions about blood and about what happens if you lose blood, how much blood do we have, do we make more blood, and lots of questions. So we followed that rabbit hole. We fulfilled the curiosity within her. I thought it would be really good if I were to follow that interest for her and visually add an element. And so on our wall board, I drew a chalk drawing, a very bad chalk drawing of a very kind of squashed and lopsided, I'm looking at it, squashed and lopsided heart, with all the arteries and the different chambers and everything on the chalkboard. And I thought, she'll take this further. Maybe she'll, she's been interested in blood. Now, we can start looking at the technical side of this. Well, how does the blood pump around the body, and so on and so on. And so I drew this heart, and I strewed out a book with a heart on it. And one day when I was sitting down with a cup of tea, I decided, hey Ashley, go get that book, let's have a look at it together. It was a very visual book, lots of photographic pictures in it. And we sat down, and she was perfectly fine. We sat down, we read the pages within the book, and then off she bounced. And I sat there, and I just realised I was trying to direct her learning, rather than being led by her, and rather than letting her find the delight in what it was that she was curious about. I tried to steer her into what was, in my mind, the next logical step. And she didn't want to learn about the heart. So it's interesting. It's a learning curve. The little lopsided heart is still sitting there all abandoned on the board, bless it, with its little capillaries and blood droplets strewed around underneath, yes, spilling out. She wasn't interested. Not interested in the slightest. So it's been great. We're loving it. I find that the more that I do back off, the better experience they have during their day. Please go over to Instagram and see if you fancy a little follow of my account, beautiful.messylife. I am posting on there as often as I possibly can, as many pictures and descriptions of our days just to help anybody who might be considering this kind of lifestyle for their family, whether you're already a homeschooling parent, whether you're already an unschooling parent whose children go to school and you want to bring them out, or whether you're even an unschooling parent and you're just interested to see how somebody else is beginning and the hurdles that they're facing and how they get over those. And if you've got any advice and tips to offer a mum who is learning to back off and let the magic happen, I would love to see you over there on Instagram. It's where I am most often. So yeah, pop over there and give me a little follow. Have a look at some of our pictures on there and let me know what you think. So there we are, that's where we're at. I will be back as soon as I possibly can because I do love talking. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.